Yeah, it's one of the things when I talk about mindset, it's always about the things that we think about and the actions that we take. Our thoughts determine the words that we say to ourselves, which determine the actions we take, which determine our habits, which also ultimately create our character and our destiny.
Welcome to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast, your guide in the race to financial freedom through real estate investing and sound financial practices. This podcast is for anyone interested in learning more about real estate investing, personal finances, and a new take on traditional retirement. Now, here are your hosts, Larry Fierro and Mike Moe.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast, your guide on the race to financial freedom through real estate investing and sound financial practices. And today, Larry, it's your guide to real estate investing through sound financial practices and mindset, my man. Holy crap, Mr. Marc Pelletz on the mic. And wow, did he kind of just blow us away?
Yeah, we had to let him go because he had a tea time, but I could have sat there and listened to him. We could have done a 4-hour episode on him and just sat there and had a good time talking. He's a great guy, had a lot of useful information, and you guys are not going to be disappointed. Not
depressed. Of course, they're listening to us. Of course, they're not going to be depressed, Larry.
Yeah, you're not going to be disappointed in his information because, and Mike, I think he made a lifelong fan in you.
Dude, I love the stuff this guy's talking about and the stuff this guy lives. Talk about how he goes from, starting in the business at 21 to being uber successful at, what do you say, 100 some properties by 25, basically retired by 30 to living on the streets. He built this massive empire and then, kind of let it all crumble. We talk a lot about how once he got that level of success, how he lost some of the discipline and some of the actions that it took to get him there. He thought everything that he touched turned to gold, and that resulted in him like crashing and burning and losing everything. But you know what? The dude came back at it and built up even a bigger portfolio, even more businesses, and now more sustainable than ever based on some of these these mindset tactics and these best practices and these habits that he deploys every single day. Super, super awesome story.
Yeah, his path and his journey is all about mindset, man. From ups, downs, all over the place. So, he's got a lot of information, which is what my warm-up is about today. Do you want me to jump into the warm-up?
Let's do it.
One of the warm-up things that he talked about, or one of the things he talked about, was positive affirmations. Positive affirmations are affirmations that are positive statements that can help you to challenge and overcome self-sabotaging and negative thoughts. When you repeat them often and believe in them, you can start to make positive changes in your life.
For sure, man. And like we talk a little bit on the episode with Marc here, If you think this is like some foo-foo stuff and like, you're not buying into it, get over yourself, get over your ego. Too many successful people have said this is super, super important. This mindset, some of these positive affirmations are so key. We talked to Rod Khalifa, about how important his vision board is to his success. And Marc is, reiterating a lot of those same strategies. So stop thinking that this is some new age foo-foo crap and start really kind of embracing how important this can be to your journey.
Yeah, and like you said, one of the big things he said is he thought everything he touched turned to gold. You gotta make sure you keep that ego in check. Keep that ego in check and be prepared for, just about any kind of scenario you can think of could happen.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Marc Pelletz, you best-selling author of the book Think Like a Real Estate Investor. He's also got another one, Your Time Is Now, available on Amazon. But let's dive deep into it, man. I'm super excited to get into this episode.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, Marc Pelletz, welcome to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great today. Nice to see you guys. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving.
We did.
Absolutely. Yep. Hope you did as well. So we're super pumped that you decided to join the show with us today, man. I'm going to turn this over to Larry. Larry, tell us how we got connected with Marc. It's kind of an interesting story here.
Well, I have a group of investors that I work with, and we happened upon one of Marc's properties. It was a 16 unit in Florida, and Marc and I had a lot of messages back and forth about the about the property, and we didn't end up coming to an arrangement on it, but I never miss an opportunity to get a fantastic guest. And I looked at Marc's history, and he just looked like somebody that was into real estate, and he had his books out, and I was like, I'm never missing an opportunity. So I asked him if he would come on the podcast and share his knowledge and try and make the lives of our listeners a little bit better in real estate.
That's awesome. Very cool. It's cool. Marc, like, let's jump into like, who are you? What do you do? Like, how'd you get into real estate? Let's jump into it, man.
All right. Well, I'll give you a little bit about my background. I started in real estate it's a long time ago now. It's hard to believe, but in 1978, I bought my first house, and that was in Phoenix, Arizona. It just came about. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. I asked my parents if they could help me buy this first house. It was $13,000, and my parents said no. Well, being the defiant child I've always been, they said no. I said go, and I bought my first house. I found a guy to help me. I bought my first house, no money down, and put cash back in my pocket. And boy, as a 21-year-old kid, that really excited me a lot. And I proceeded to do that for the next, over the next 5 years. I had accumulated 113 houses, all before I was 25 years old, all with no money down, put cash back in my pocket. And I thought everything I touched turned to gold. And for a little while, it was like that. And what happened from there was not as pretty of a story as those first 5 years. By the time I was 30, I thought retired, and I was living the life of my dreams. But slowly but surely, I started making different choices in my habits. Instead of being structured and disciplined and persistent and in order, they just slowly started going down the wrong street, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I made bad choices in partners, bad choices in wives, liked Las Vegas quite a bit, liked drugs, liked alcohol, and, slowly but surely, very subtly, 10 years later, I found myself living in the streets. At 41 years old, I was living, I rented a room that I borrowed money to stay in. I was driving a car with no air condition in Florida, and I made a decision, and I took most of you have probably read the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
And I had in the past, and I was a student of books. Readers are leaders, and I read and read and read when I was younger. And those 10 years when I went the wrong way, I stopped and made a decision in July of 1998 to change my life and get back into real estate. And I started again, and I bought my first house, same way I did before, decades later, different time, different market, did the same thing, bought my first house with no money down. Made a goal when I was 41 years old to have 50 properties by the time I was 50. And by the time I was 49, I had 50 properties, and I was on my way.
Excellent.
Over the last 10 years here in Sarasota, Manatee County, I've bought, fixed, flipped over 1,000 properties right here in the local market, built a portfolio of several hundred rental properties. We've got a real estate company, Relax Realty Group, which manages my properties plus hundreds of other properties of investors like me. And recently, in the past 2 years, we became a REI Live, and we have a coaching seminar business. And I've also written 2 books. And to be quite honest with you, I'm living the life of my dreams. And this year's COVID-19 and all the politics and all that kind of stuff, I've had maybe the best year, one of the top 3 best years financially ever. At the same time, I've been in Colorado 7 of those months skiing and spending the summer out there. And so what I've managed to do is I put together a team of like-minded people that, support me. And my job right now in my life is to help everybody who's in my circle get what they want. We've heard many times before, Zig Ziglar said, you help enough people get what they want, you always get what you want. And I've seen that manifest and come true in my life. And I'm one of the lucky ones, But luck is the harder you work, the luckier you get. And, I put in my time, I paid my dues. There was never a day that was different. Saturdays were the same as Mondays, just like we're here the day after Thanksgiving. I know you guys are putting some courses together this afternoon, and it doesn't matter what day it is. It's every day is a Saturday, every night's a Saturday night, every meal's a banquet, and every day's a holiday. But what that means for us is we do what we do when we do it, which is every day. And that's kind of how I got to where I am now. I've been really fortunate in many ways.
There's so much to unpack in there.
Yeah. Like I'm chomping at the bit, man. Let's chat about that. That's such a crazy story. So you kind of had this like crazy like rocket success like right when you start, and then like you said, you kind of hit rock bottom. And this is fascinating book called Ego is Enemy, where it talks a lot about how people, once they get a little success, they lose the discipline that got them that success, and it all falls apart, right? So when you were going through that, were there like hints, or were there like a slowly like, steps that got you that kind of led to that rock bottom, or was it like all of a sudden you blink your eyes and you were there? How did that transpire?
That book's a good title. Ego is the Enemy. I could not see beyond what I was doing. I would not listen to what anybody was telling me, and it was a gradual. Just like it sounds like it was a rocket ship out, and it kind of was. My second time around, it was a lot more gradual, but the downhill slide became very subtle. And I have a picture with all the books that I read, and up till about 1985, I was reading and studying and listening to not podcasts, but cassette tapes at that time, and always immersed in something. And there was a 10-year gap where I stopped reading, stopped going to seminars, stopped getting mentored by people, and slowly but surely it just gradually slipped away until I had nothing left. And then I had my eyes got open though when I was sitting there with nothing left. But until I had nothing left, I just did not see it. I was in denial.
Mm-hmm. So it was a gradual overnight kind of snuck up on you thing.
Yeah, it's one of the things when I talk about mindset, it's always about the things that we think about and the actions that we take. Our thoughts determine the words that we say to ourselves, which determine the actions we take, which determine our habits, which also ultimately create our character and our destiny. And my thinking started going the wrong way. It's our thoughts that matter the most. So I have some practices now that really make a huge difference in my life. And I practice thinking. Think about this for a minute. How many people do you know think about what they think about?
I would guess not many.
Not very many. In fact, 1% of the people think about what they think about, but thinking is the most important thing that we can do. How many people set goals? Less than 3% of the people in the world. There's been studies by Harvard and Yale that shows that 3% of the people got 97% more than the people that didn't set goals. And so if there's a takeaway that you can have from this today, it would be set some goals for your life. This is the perfect time to do it. We got 40 days left to the end of the year, and start taking some time to think about what you think about. When you can consciously direct your thoughts in the direction of where you want to go in your life, and you imprint something on your brain on a daily basis, we manifest what we're thinking about mostly. As in the book, Think and Grow Rich, it tells you exactly what to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're all about trying to expose the mistakes we made to help our listeners maybe not make some of those. So like, what are some of those other, you said that you have some things that you do to get your mindset right. Like that's one of them. Think about what you think about. Are there other, habits that you do on a regular basis that kind of avoid you going back into, that decline?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's the main platform and foundation, not only for my life, but for all my students that I coach. And it will be my next book that's coming out is going to be called Launch Your Day, Launch Your Life. And it's a specific, let me see, I might even be able to hold something up that shows a little bit about it so you guys can get an imprint on it. I don't know if can you see that?
A little higher. Oh, right there. Nice.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
So that's Launch Today. And I don't miss a day of this, really. And I'll explain it to you. I can keep, you guys got a picture of that now, or you got it there?
Yep.
So the first thing we do to start off every day, it's what we do the night before we go to bed. Before we go to bed at night, what the thing that I recommend everybody do is to write down on a piece of paper exactly what you're going to do the next day. Obviously, leaving a little leeway, things happen. But if you write down before you go to bed what you're going to do the next day, what it does, it clears up your mind and gives you an opportunity to sleep much better without ruminating in your mind what you got to do the next day. So that's been one of the key things that I did. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do, it's like, good morning, universe, or hello, God, thank you. And from there, I go right through I jump in a cold shower. A cold shower, what that does is it changes your state. The quickest way to change the way you feel is to change your physiology and change your state. So a cold shower with positive affirmations. From the shower, we get out of the shower.
Now, if it's Minnesota, it's winter in Minnesota. Do I get a pass on the cold shower, or do I still have to do that?
You actually do, because I've been living in Colorado for the past few months, and I have not done the cold shower every day. But if you want to change the way that you feel immediately, get in that cold shower and start saying, I am powerful. I am a man of God. I have great intentions for the day. And you will change your state. But you can have a pass on that. From there, it goes into a prayer time. Prayer time doesn't have to, I'm not religious. I'm not, personally, I believe religious separates people, but the universe or God or creative energy is all one. So a little bit of some positive readings, whether it's a daily reflection book or a Bible or some book to get your mind start thinking in a positive way that's uniting with the creative source of energy that we have. From the prayer time, it's a gratitude practice. And this is the signature part of my signature program.
Nice.
The gratitude practice is we write down 3 specific things that we're grateful for with an I am in front of it. And we spend 1 minute on each of those things, because what we're what we do by doing this is we raise our vibrational signature. Everything vibrates at a different frequency. But we're all made of the same likeness. So what we're doing is, by having a gratitude practice, is we're getting ourselves out of anxiety and fear, which is where the world lives right now. Yeah. That's why most people cannot break a plateau, is because they're stuck in that cycle of anxiety and fear. But the gratitude practice will build a foundation for your life that you can build your life skyscraper on and manifest your dreams or your goals. From that place, you go to meditation, and meditation is not what you think it is, or what most people think it is. It's not some special position you have to get into where you're oming or you're cross-legged, all that. Meditation really just is to become familiar with your thinking, to become familiar with your minds, and it gives you a chance to slow down. And for me, it took me a long time to really implement meditation as an anchor in my life, but I'm gonna tell you guys, it's a game changer. So I'm gonna highly recommend that, if you're not in a meditation practice right now, get started, and don't think your mind has to get quiet. No, the mind doesn't get quiet. The mind is always thinking and moving, but just become familiar with your thoughts, because remember at the beginning, thoughts are things. It's our thinking that determines everything in our life. So this gives us a chance to get, in sync with the way our mind is working, and begin to imprint things on that to think in the direction of what we want in our life. From there, we go to after the meditation. I skipped around here. I missed something with the gratitude practice. After you do the 3 things that you're grateful for, ask an open-minded, open-ended question like, how can I be the best expression of the self, the man that I'm supposed to be today? Or how can I put myself in a position to help somebody else today? Ask an open question and then go into meditation. And there's all kinds of apps out there, Insight Timer, Calm. We hear a lot about meditation now these days.
Headspace.
Yeah, Headspace. Exactly. And we're continually hearing a lot of things about what we can be doing right now, but those who take actions on the good things that we're supposed to be doing are the ones who reap the benefits. So after the meditation, it's off to the gym and exercise and listening to a podcast or a book, an audio book. And so what we're doing is we're taking control of the morning in our life and pointing ourselves in the direction of what we want to be in our life. Here's my business card. These are my emojis. I don't know if you can see that, but those are the ones we're bringing to the world. That fist bump, it means knock out the fears and the memories of the past that have kept you back and held you back your whole life. That rocket ship is point your brain in the direction of what you want to achieve and your goals in your life. And this heart is the signature of love. We want to bring love to everything that we do in our life. It's a high vibrational signature. And how we feel is what we attract. Our thoughts, they are the language of our mind. They send a signal out into the universe. So by this morning launch today practice, we're taking control of our thoughts and we're pointing it in the right way. By exercising and meditating, we're taking control of our feelings. Our feelings are the language of our body. When our thoughts and our feelings are congruent with each other, they open up our heart and point us and get us moving in the direction of what we want to do in our life. Now, when our thoughts and our feelings aren't lined up together, what it makes is disarray in ourself and our life gets kind of jumbled. So our goal is to get our thoughts and feelings in line. And we've all had that time in our lives when we knew what we're supposed to be doing. And that's what happens when we're aligned that way. So that's I hope that answers your question on what kind of habits or what can you do to get yourself pointed in the direction of what you want to create in your life.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. And we say a lot of, like, success leaves clues, right? And a lot of these things that you're talking about, the meditation, the getting your mind right, reading some sort of positive, reading in the morning, starting with gratitude, starting with a point of gratitude your day. Like, so many successful people talk about this, like the who's of business and real estate. A lot of them talk about this. So if everybody's talking about these, and there's these common traits across these successful people, there's something in it. So yeah, definitely to your point, that's a fantastic way to start your day and make sure you're getting that mind pointed in the right direction.
Yeah. And just like you said, the whole mindset can make or break an investing career. And if you basically success in life is all mindset. And when you start talking about the vibrations with the universe, it's all ringing true. And I'm planning on getting on Amazon when I get out of here and take a look at your books and ordering a couple of them. So
yeah, for sure.
Very excited.
You're exactly right about that. I believe that like my students that I teach, and I believe it because I wouldn't teach anything that I didn't believe, but it's 80% mindset, 20% tactics, strategies, and processes. You can have all the tactics and processes and strategies possible. If you don't have that right mindset, you're not going to get very far if you even get out of the gate. But if you've got persistence, consistency, discipline, burning desire, and all of that going for you, and you have that, it doesn't matter if you know the right or the wrong processes, because you'll keep going until you figure out a way. And that's pretty much how I did it.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because I think most people, when they get started, 100% of what they focus on is the processes and the strategies and like what markets I'm going to buy in, and it's not the mindset. So if somebody who's maybe new to this way of thinking, we're new to this thought process, how do they go from like shifting their focus to more of the mindset and less of the strategic way of thinking? And think of somebody who's maybe just trying to crack into real estate for the first deal or two or what have you.
Yeah, and that's a really good question, because the people that are first trying to crack in the first deal or two, like we did a live event the other night, and there was more than a handful of 2 people in the rooms that have been reading books, watching podcasts, listening to webinars, and they haven't even taken their first step into the fire. And they probably know more than me about real estate, for that matter. So it's the same thing as when you make a decision to go into real estate. You have to make a decision to anything. It's making a decision that the mindset does matter, and I am going to implement some action that's going to take control of the way that I think about things. And then following that, the same way that they're reading all the books about real estate, they start reading some books about, how to propel themselves mentally into getting what they want in their life. So it's really a decision you have to make. You can hear it over and over again. And as you mentioned, from the top leaders, the most successful people, they all talk about mindset. But until you make a decision that you're going to start working on your mindset, it's really not going to happen. So it's making a decision. And anyone listening to this right now, I'm going to encourage you to buy one of my book, Think Like a Real Estate Investor. But if you don't buy the book, make a decision that you're going to implement some new habits starting right now. This is a great time of the year to do that. You said this is going to air on December 17th. That's game time. The last 2 weeks of the year is game time for getting your goals in order to have success in 2021. And I always do that. And I have areas of my life. I take the priorities of my life, which I can tell you what they are. And from the priorities of the life, they turn into the goals for the year. And write down goals, because you can say you have goals, but if it's only in your head, it's a dream. Goals mean written, specific, with a timeline where you can actually measure them, that are relative to what you're doing in your life. They're called SMART goals. Get some goals that are relevant to what you're doing in your life and put it on a piece of paper, and better yet, share it with somebody else. And make a decision each day to think in the way that serves you. Anytime you have a negative thought, turn it into a positive thought. There's a great little book called The Golden Key, Emmett Fox, a New Thought Thinker. The golden key is change any negative thought to a positive thought and start to train your mind to work for you instead of against you.
Yeah, and it's perfect that, like you said, your episode is airing on December 17th, because that's the time you want to start reflecting on your previous goals from the year before, see how successful you were, and then start drafting those goals for the next year. This is crunch time right here, the last couple of weeks of the month, and just revisit everything that you were looking at and everything that you've accomplished this year, and try and go big next year.
Yeah, and back to another thought. Like, how do I do what I do, or how do we do this? How do we get our mind thinking right? It's not only what we do; it's also what we don't do and what we should stay away from. And I'm gonna put this out there. People can like it or not, but I haven't watched the news or read a newspaper for probably more than 2 decades. So, so I'm the most uninformed, somewhat smart guy here.
Probably one of the happiest as well.
Yeah, that's right. I know nothing about, I didn't even know who Joe Biden looked like or what he sounded like until they bleeped him in the middle of the Clemson football game. In COVID, and for all those, if you're suffering and you've gotten COVID, my heart goes out to you. And it's been a real trying time for most people. But the worst part about it is the people that are sitting around home, scared to go out and keeping that TV on. It means they've got you right where they want you. And you're not taking control of your life. You're not taking control of your thinking. You're not moving your business in the direction it was. It's because you're being robbed of everything that you really deserve. So, next to it. Absolutely. TV, news, out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One of the things I kind of want to unpack in your story also was the no money down deals that you did, because Mike and my course is on seller financing, trying to help people get to seller financing, potential no money down deals. And, one of the mindset things with a no money deal is that it's not possible, and I kind of wanted to try and help people change their mindset. And well, first of all, they have to get used to the word no. I mean, that's not an insult. If you hear the word no, you just move on to the next deal. But, the mindset is that it's not possible. You can't go into a deal without any money up front, and you can't go to the closing with no money in your pocket and come out with a check. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. And that's a really great point, because that's really how I got started. And it's how I got started both times with no money. And I remember when I was a kid, I was in 1978, and I did my first no money down deal. And then I saw this guy on TV. I think it might have been Dave Delgado. I'm not really sure. But I saw him on TV, and I said, I can do this. This is not a problem. Mm-hmm. And I was at the time, I was a newly licensed real estate agent with ERA, one of the first 6 offices in the country. And I was a youngster, and we had a team of people there. And everybody's telling me, no, they can't do that. And I'm saying, yes, you can do that. And I had all of them who didn't believe you could do that because of their mindset. It was all up in the head. You can do anything you set your mind to. There's 2 kinds of people. Some think they can, and some think they can't, and they're both absolutely right. If you think you can, and if you think you can't, you can't. But I'm here to tell you, I did it in the 70s, I did it again in the 90s, and there's many more ways right now to do no money down deals besides maybe the subject to that you're teaching or the seller financing. Those are two strategies. But there's such an abundance of money out there right now with people in 401ks and pensions that are waiting to put their money to earn more money than they're at. So you can put together programs where you can get other people's money, and that's
OPM.
still a no money down deal out of your own pocket when you get other people's money, because it's always OPM. It's always other people's money. But the first thing has to become a thought process in your head. And if you don't believe it, the next best thing you can do is say, if he believes it and he could do it, I can do that too. And you start the process. Of course, you're going to get a lot more no's. Every time somebody says no, just give yourself a pat on the back. You're closer to a yes. That's a no means a yes is coming. He who gets the most no's wins this game.
That is accurate. And that's one of the previous guests that we had on, just his episode aired Thursday. And he said, if you don't have enough no's, then you're not making enough asks.
That's right.
And
that's another formula, the ask formula. A, ask and you will receive. S, seek and you will find. And K, knock and the door will be opened.
I love that.
That's awesome. The ask formula. Yeah, we're gonna have to use that in the social package for sure. That's golden right there. That's awesome. Cool. So what have you, this second time that you've kind of built up your portfolio, you talked about a few hundred rental units in the management company. What type of property have you focused on? What market are you in? Is it small multis, or is it what type of properties?
I started in B- to D+ type of properties. I always felt that you made a higher rate of return on the lower end properties. And what we did, we manage my lower end properties the same way we manage our A and B properties. So we found a little niche. We may buy with the slumlords, but we don't handle our properties like slumlords. And what I did when I started, I believe that it's important to buy for many reasons in the same areas. So you can kind of scale your business, whether it's management or repair work, or just making it more convenient. So I bought in pockets. So there's a zip code in Bradenton, Florida, 34205, that I own 80 properties right in that one zip code, because I could scale everything that goes around it right in that zip code. But I bought lower end properties because I don't know why, but they always pay a little bit higher rent in those type of areas. And I built a niche there. But I started with duplexes both times back in 1978. Not my first house, but when I started buying for cash flow, I started buying multifamily houses, duplexes, triplexes, and I moved up to sixplexes, 10plexes. I've got some 16 units and some 18 unit places. But not many of the big apartment complexes that you hear everybody doing with syndications and things like that. That's not my game. I prefer to own my properties myself or with one partner. I do own one. I have 179 doors, but I don't even count that when I say I have a couple hundred units. I haven't got a paycheck from it, and I don't know when I'm ever going to get my money back. But you got all these people out there right now saying, oh, I got 500 units this year, I got 1,000. Well, ask them how much cash flow they've got this year. Most of them, what you're going to hear is diddly.
Yeah, it's a fraction of a percentage of those units, right, that they actually own.
Right. I mean, what I'm hearing right now, everybody's having excuses: COVID, hurricane, bad times. And so these people that are in some, and I'm not saying anything bad about the people that are doing it. It's just not my game. Mm-hmm. And, I prefer to have a little bit more control. I prefer to see, touch, and feel. I have most of my career investing in my backyard. I know there's a lot of good reasons to be going in other markets, especially if you're in a market with a high entry level or that the numbers just don't make sense. But I can only tell you about what I've done.
Yeah, and that was one of the things Mike and I have talked about is, find your niche and then stay in your lane. Don't get that shiny object syndrome and jump from class to class or, area to area. Kind of concentrate all your efforts on your niche, and that's when all the efforts compound into the good returns.
Yeah, for sure. And can we dive a little bit into how you're buying those? Because I love that, you're talking about not doing the syndication route, because I think that that resonates with a lot of people. They go syndication because they think that's the only way they could scale up to get a lot of doors without having a boatload of capital, is to, do these syndications and whatnot. So how are you purchasing these? What's your strategy to get these properties with, solely owned by yourself or with a, single JV?
Well, if you're talking about today is different than it was 20 years ago. Today I have cash. I pay for just about everything not just about everything I buy, I pay cash for now. So it's a different story, but that took quite a long time to get there. So there's many roads to your destiny. And if your destiny is to own a lot of rental properties, which is, in my opinion, the game. If you're going to be in real estate, and you're going to wholesale properties or you're going to fix and flip properties, that's a short-term gain. You might make some money, but if you're going to be in real estate for keeps, it's about financial freedom and being able to go where you want, do what you want, and have the life that we all dream about, becoming a millionaire and having cash flow. So I think cash flow is lifestyle. So at the beginning, what I did was I aligned myself. I found people that believed in me. That was how I did it. I did some subject twos and some owner financing, which is people that believe in you in the same sense. But I found a guy both times in Phoenix when I was young. And then again here, I found a guy who I gave him my story and they believed in me. And my main partner in this 20-year run at the beginning, he now passed away this year, was a guy who first just loaned me money. Basically, it was hard money, 2 points, 10%. But 10% may sound like a lot to you people out there, but when I started in the 70s, it was 10% money. And so today's money is free money. If you can get free money, if you can get in with the banks to find somebody to loan you at today's rate, get all you can. One of the chapters in my book is called Standalone Properties. And standalone properties simply means I buy this property right here. And remember, I was broke both times. So this property that I found a way to get into had to put money into Mr. Hip Pocket Bank. If it wasn't putting money in Mr. Hip Pocket Bank, I couldn't buy it because I had no money in my bank account. So I needed properties that would stand alone on their own. Whatever it took me to get in that property, at the end of every month, I needed money back. And I don't go by ROI and normal, what the gurus will tell you or what the smarter people than me tell you. I just believed if I can own this property and put $100 in my hip pocket this month and pay down $100 on my mortgage, at the end of the day, at the end of the 20-year run or whenever the end game is, I'm going to end up rich. And it's played out to be true. So, I don't look at the ROI or the cap rates or the traditional numbers. I look, does it make sense to me? Can I make, even flipping properties, people say to me, well, how much do you have to make on each one? Well, to be honest with you, there wasn't a number. I had an infrastructure that was growing. I have crews that needed to work, and I had people in the office. So sometimes it wasn't about the number. It was keeping my infrastructure in place so that I can continue on the journey. And whatever I did, I can assure you that it worked.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Nice. So, well, Marc, I wanted to make sure that I'm a little jealous today because you're heading out for a tea time in a little bit. So we got to get you out there on the links and just wanted to see if you could let the folks know where they can find out a little bit more about you, connect with you, and give us the books one more time.
Yeah, it would be marcpelletz.com, marcpelletz.com. It's marcpelletz.com. Probably that will link you into the things I'm doing, or REI Live, SRQ. We have regular education and training programs that right now are going virtually every week since the COVID, which I hope to get back to live. My two books, one is called Your Time Is Now. It's on Amazon, Your Time Is Now. And then we have Think and Profit Like a Real think like a real estate investor. And I would highly recommend this one just to keep next to your bed. I read it again myself over and over again. Nice. I always need to be reminded. I'm one of those guys that believes repetition is the key to learning. So I need to repeat the same things over and over again. All the books that I read, they say almost the same thing in a different way, but I continually to study the books that made a difference in my life. And I hope my book will make a difference in your life.
Great. Yeah, Marc, thanks for coming down, man. It was very informational.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marc. We appreciate it. This is a fantastic episode. We usually like to leave the listeners with a call to action. So what is the one thing that they can do right now in this moment, today, tomorrow, that will make the biggest influence on them getting started in this business? I know you talked a lot about different books that you might recommend, but what is that one call to action that, somebody who's looking to get started can take away from this and implement, right away?
Well, the call to action is always making a decision. If you're on the fence wanting to do real estate or not wanting to do real estate, is to make a firm commitment and decision to yourself. And that's what I would say is the first action. You may be looking for something more. Get yourself a mentor.
That's perfect.
Find yourself a mentor who is where you want to be. See if you can go offer him some help, like offer to hang around him and do stuff for him for free. Or if they're a coach or a mentor, sign up for their programs, because they will cut your mistakes out. And remember, it's that leap, that first step that you take that matters the most. It's taking that first step, and do it now.
Excellent. Awesome. That's fantastic. All right. Thank you again, Marc, for coming down and chatting with us and sharing your knowledge with our listeners. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Nice to meet you. Nice to spend some time with you. Hope to talk with you again.
Awesome. Thanks, Marc. All right, Larry. That was Mr. Marc Pelletz. Let me tell you, I'm ready to run through a dang wall, man. That dude I don't even know how to describe that interview. That dude's fantastic.
Yeah, the mindset stuff that he was talking about, and you're in the vibe, the synchronization with the universe, and it spoke to me on a couple of different levels, because everybody has those times when you just walk out the door and everything seems to be clicking that day. You're perfectly in sync with the universe, and it's just like everything is coming up roses for Larry or Mike. And, those days, if you can figure out how to change your mindset to harness that power, you forget about it. And it sounds like Marc has harnessed that power. Like he seems like he's in complete sync with the universe every day.
Yeah, dude, he's got that framework on how he starts his day. And it's powerful stuff, man. And it was super exciting and super motivating to get into it with Marc and just talk about how he's got both sides of it, how important this was to him, rebuilding, but how the lack of things like this and the lack of alignment and the lack of these really good habits led to his complete crash and burn of his empire that he built up in his early 20s and late 20s. So on both sides of the coin, we saw how important it was.
Yeah. So, and he had a really good call to action too, didn't he?
Decide, man. That was it. That was the mic drop that Marc had. You got to decide that you are going to get into this game and that you are going to take action and control kind of your future and how that turns out. So that was number one, man. That was a call to action. Decide. And we got another one for you guys. You guys can go to marcpelletz.com and go take a look at everything that guy's got to offer. He's got a ton of free resources out there that you can get into and start learning a little bit more about this mindset and also real estate. The dude's, been a real estate investor for a long time. He's gone through the ups and downs of it, property management, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of units. So he's obviously got a ton to offer on more of the tactical side. But as we talked about in the podcast, man, not quite as important as that mindset side of it.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of guests on the podcast, and I've loved every one of the guests. But I got to tell you, Marc is one of my favorites. I mean, he came on, and he was just talking about getting your mindset right. And mindset, like everybody knows, mindset. If you have a bad mindset, it's not gonna work for you, and you've got to figure out how to control that.
Yeah. Yep. I wasn't going to say it, but you said it for me. And I could not agree with you more. So fantastic episode here.
Yep. So, well, this is another episode in the books, Mike. We're coming into the middle of December now, and, got the holiday season coming upon us. So I just wanted to let everybody know, have a good holiday season this year. And, we'll be keep releasing our episodes, and hopefully we'll all get through to the new year, and I'm looking forward to 2021.
dude, we're not just going to get through the new year. We're going to crush the new year and 2021, man. We got some big things for the listeners planned, and super excited to get into it. So
that's it. So you guys take care and have a good day.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. If you found value in any of the content from this show, consider supporting us in the following ways. Subscribe to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. Leave a rating and review. Continue the conversation with like-minded individuals on social media by heading over to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast Facebook group, or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Real Estate Marathon Podcast.